The following broadcast is a production of HCC TV.
Hi, I'm Justin Boyd,
Hi, I have allergies.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Frank Cooper.
and we are
The Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. For us, it's welcome back to the Main Street Studios here, and as y'all can tell, it's nice
What's
and
up?
warm, nice and toasty down here in the
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
Main Street Studios.
That's why he's got drainage.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, it's not helping, guys. I can't tell if I'm sick or if I'm just allergic to Houston or something. I have no idea.
But he loves Houston.
I
Let's
do.
don't get it mixed
I
up
do.
here.
But could you be
But I
allergic?
love Seattle. I was on vacation. in
Seattle repping.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah, I was on vacation in Seattle. But
Yep.
now I can't tell if I'm sick or if I have it.
Well, I think you're just allergic to work.
Probably.
So, Frank, any opening words from you? You want to say something? Or just where have you been, or what city you're
man.
repping, or no?
Man, I'm repping the H-Town and
What about Arlington?
A-Train.
Oh my God!
That's good.
You know, speaking of that, A-Train is a character in the show called The Boys, which we're here to talk about today. We're going to talk about the first episode of The Boys.
We're not talking
It's-
about vacation?
No, we're not talking about vacations.
Oh,
I mean, we
sorry.
could.
Sorry.
It's because Justin didn't go on vacation.
I didn't go on one, but I could make up a story. So we're here to talk about The Boys.
Oh, I'm
The Boys is an Amazon Prime series, which I'm sure a lot of you have already seen.
Please watch it if you
yeah,
haven't
it's very
before you
good.
watch this video because it's such a good show.
It's very good. The series released, season 1 came out on July 26th of 2019, so just a month or so ago. It's based on a comic book by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. The comic, it ran from like October 2006 to November 2012, so it had a pretty good little run. It was a comic that originally was on a DC Comics under the DC Comics umbrella, which is kind of appropriate because the superheroes in the show, to me, are kind of like a parody of the Justice League. But anyway, the comic, as is the show, is kind of maybe a little bit too much for DC to handle, and so DC sold the rights to a company called Dynamite, which maybe Nathan's familiar with. I'm not familiar with the company, but they produced the comic.
Nope, Nathan's
so.
shaking his head. Nope, not familiar at
He's
all.
not. Okay, so let's just quickly talk about the premise of the show. The premise of the show is it's set in a world where superheroes are real, people have superpowers, but they're all basically managed by this company called, what is it?
Vought.
Vought
Vought.
International, right?
International.
And Vought is this kind of like a Marvel / Disney / Sony. No, this like major
Not
company.
anymore.
This major company that manages the PR for these superheroes and also merchandise, and they handle like movies and TV shows and basically everything that has to go with these superheroes. I almost said athletes because in a lot of ways, to me, they feel like superheroes. Yeah, they feel like
they treat them like
like
that.
athletes
Yeah.
are currently today. Like
Especially A-Train.
Yeah.
right, and he actually is an athlete too. So
Sorry.
2 for 2. Big A-Train fan. And you're at the caboose of our little table here, too, so
I am. I am.
that's good. So, anyway, so in this show, you have these superpower people.
Can we stay on track here?
Yeah.
Train-
on track.
Nice.
Well, I mean, usually you're trying to derail us, so
Oh.
I can do train puns all day long.
Good.
Let's not. Let's give the
No,
people
really,
what they
like,
want.
I'm done. I'm
That
out.
Okay,
so,
you're good.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
good,
all
yeah.
right.
Yeah, what's the second cart even called? Or second car? Is it just second car?
The second man to caboose, the right hand to caboose. I don't know.
Why are we talking about trains?
I don't know.
Trains, planes, automobiles.
That's a great movie.
Anyway, in The Boys, which is what we're here to talk about.
Sure?
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm totally sure we're back. We're back.
I love trains.
The Boys are back. That was actually a song, and then Lizzie, check that song out. It's pretty
Oh
good.
my god.
No, it's a good one. You've heard it. So in this world, there's superpowered people. That's tough to say. Superpowered people, and they're managed by this company. And it turns out they're not the greatest people in the world. They're just. I mean, honestly, the way I look at it is, if superheroes were real in our times nowadays, they would be like the characters in
this show.
In this show.
Definitely. I
So
totally agree.
I think the world definitely needs the Avengers and definitely needs the Justice League. Unfortunately, the Seven is what we would really have if we had superheroes. So the Seven, there's these terrible superheroes, and there's this group of vigilantes called The Boys, which is the title of the show, which I know Brittany was a big fan of
Not one bit.
for a long time.
I mean, seriously, y'all. Okay, again, I'm always the last to jump on the bandwagon when it comes down
The
to
Train
watching shows.
also.
Oh, excuse me, The Train.
Yeah.
All
Caboose.
aboard.
Whatever. But yeah, I mean, y'all kept saying, "Oh yeah, I just finished watching The Boys," and it's like that just sounds awful for y'all to say that and not to think, "What are you doing? What are you watching?
Yeah.
Why do I need to watch it?" It's actually a really great show, though. But yeah, not a fan of the title. Do better. Do better.
So the boys are this group of vigilantes who are basically their job is to try to take down the superheroes. The superheroes are bad people, so the boys are basically the good guys. So they're kind of anti-heroes in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The things they do are not necessarily what good guys would do. So the show is the executive producer of the show. There's a couple actually. It's Eric Kripke. If you're familiar with Supernatural, the show on the CW, which has been on for 15 or 16 years, he runs that show, or he did run that show. And then Seth Rogen is one of the executive producers, and you probably know him from several comedies. He's been in a lot of movies, and he actually makes a cameo appearance in the show.
What was that movie that it was kind of like a superhero type deal, but he wasn't a superhero? It was like Green.
The Green Hornet.
Green Hornet. Yeah.
Yeah, he-
Couldn't think about it.
Yeah, he was in that movie.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I didn't see that movie, but he was in it.
I did see
It's
it.
not bad.
Anyway.
So, anyway, the series dropped, like I said, late July, and I think it's really got a lot of word of mouth. People are starting to watch it. People are talking about it now. People are podcasting about it, like us. And so, before we get into the first episode, like the cast and everything, let's just talk about our first impressions. So, Frank, what was your first impression of the show?
You know what? One thing that caught my attention about the show is that when you watch like TV shows like Marvel shows and DC shows, within that world, the superhero is always the guy with the moral compass, or the super heroine. Is that female version for superhero?
The heroine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then like
Not to be confused with the drug. Sorry.
Yes, that's over here. And like and within that world, the people, the antagonists, everybody within that world, their moral compass is compromised, right? But in this show, it really shows realism, because just because you're a superhero, just because you save people and you do all these great feats, doesn't mean that your moral compass is always centered. And I love this show because it shows the realness of these superheroes, that hey, yeah, we're people, but like we look for something, that we do things just to look good sometimes, or we do things because it's to our benefit, not because it's quote unquote the right thing to do.
Right.
And I just love the realism behind that not all superheroes are made equal. So
Brittany?
I don't know why you always start with Frank. He summarizes everything so well, like he just does.
Thanks.
But the fact that superheroes are like the people that you want to live up to, or be like when you grow up, and we'll see that in this show. A couple of
I don't
different
want to be
people.
like any of those kids.
Well, not now.
None of those.
Not now, but we follow a couple people who, grew up, following the Seven and had their merch and knew who they were and what have you, and you see the direction that it turns when they find out who they really are, the Seven, and how one of these individuals is actually will be a part of the Seven, and she still wants to, stay true to her beliefs and want to do good and what have you, and she stands her ground, and I that's really admirable, and it's a very interesting show. The first 10 minutes of this episode shocked me, naturally, and but we'll get into that a little later.
My first impressions were, I didn't know what to expect. Justin told me a lot about the show, and I was just like, okay, I'll check it out. And I finally watched, but literally within the first 10 minutes, you're hooked on the show. At least I was. I was just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And but definitely to see the how they portray superheroes in this, and they just run it as a business, and it's totally what would happen if we had superheroes now, and how they all have deals and they do all this stuff, and they can get away with so much stuff.
Right.
And I'm sure that happens in sports and all that stuff. They brush stuff under the table.
Oh yeah.
And,
Do
you know,
they?
Sports, politics,
everything.
big business,
Everything like that.
Yeah.
I just like how realistic it can be, and the characters of the boys and the actual, like the ones that are trying to do good, or they've all been affected by these superheroes, and
Right.
Right.
what they do that gets swept under the rug and no one talks about. So I like that they're trying to get their vengeance, revenge, whatever you want to call it.
Justice.
And it's a good show.
Yeah.
It's my first impressions were that it's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's very good. I was hooked from the beginning. I'm not a binger. Like, I don't like to binge shows. But I watched it in 2 days, so I did like half and half.
Same.
So
I did the same thing.
it was very entertaining. One of the first things I noticed about the show is they refer to the superheroes as soups. That's like the nickname. It's kind of a pejorative kind of nickname. But soups, that caught my attention right away because one of the characters in the show is Homelander, he's very much like a parody of Superman. And one of Superman's nicknames is Soups. That's what people call him in the comics or whatever. So that jumped at me like right away. That was interesting. And as I mentioned before, it was under the DC umbrella. So the seven superheroes are very similar to the Justice League characters. So you have Homelander, which I said was like Superman.
Yeah.
You have a character named Queen Maeve, who is basically like a knockoff of Wonder Woman. You have a guy called the Deep, who is an aquatic superhero, like Aquaman.
Just no trident.
You have a guy that dresses all in black, and he kind of has a Batman look, but he doesn't say anything. His name is Black Noir.
Yeah.
There's some other ones that maybe don't really fit well, I guess like the Flash. There's a guy named
A-Train.
A-Train, Frank's favorite by far.
By far.
He's a speedster.
Yeah.
Not a scarlet speedster like the Flash, but whatever a fancy term for blue would be for.
He's an urban speedster.
Urban speedster.
Yeah.
That could be the name of our podcast, honestly. That might have been a better name for our podcast.
Name change coming soon.
Wow.
There's that character. There's an invisible character. His name's Translucent, although Translucent doesn't necessarily mean invisible, right? Don't we call
No,
him?
it's
Not really.
No, not really.
So Translucent was actually created for this show. So
Okay.
there really isn't like a solid connection between
Right.
the Seven
comic.
and then Justice
Yeah.
League or anybody like that.
Yeah,
so.
there's not. Well, there might be an invisible man in some. There's an invisible man or woman in some superhero characers. I
Well, but if
believe.
we're talking strictly like DC,
The
oh, there's an invisible jet.
Wonder Woman. Nathan with the assist there.
Oh my gosh.
So instead of an invisible jet, we have an invisible person who could fly the jet. I guess
Yeah.
is the idea. So those are the seven. Oh, there's also a character which I'm not sure if she has a
Connection.
connection to like a parody of the Justice League. Her name is Starlight. We learned about her earlier in the first episode. She joins the Seven.
She's the newest addition.
Yeah.
Right.
So we talked about the Seven. Let's talk about the cast for the characters. I wasn't familiar with any of these people, honestly.
Other than Billy Butcher. That's
Billy
the only
Butcher,
guy.
yeah. So Carl Urban plays Billy Butcher. You'll probably know Carl Urban from he's in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He's been in Star Trek.
Carl
been
Urban's in Lord of the Rings?
He's in Lord of the Rings. He's in Star Trek.
Oh,
He's
that's
in-
right, he was.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Thor movies.
He was in Ragnarok. He was Scourge.
Yeah, and he's been in some other things. I can't think of him offhand right now. He was Judge Dredd in the Judge
Yeah,
Dredd
I was just gonna say that too.
reboot.
Those are reboot for Judge Dredd?
Yeah, because the first one was Stallone,
Yeah.
and so
Oh,
the
wow.
new one came out like in
Carl Urban's in it.
2012 or 13.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah.
But you
Okay.
never see his face. He's always
No, you
under the
don't.
helmet.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
So Carl Urban plays Billy Butcher. Billy Butcher is the leader of the boys. He is the head vigilante. He makes himself sound like he's an FBI agent, but we'll see if that actually is true later on. Another character, another actor that I wasn't familiar with, although his last name is famous, is Jack Quaid. He plays Huey
what's
Campbell.
his name? Son?
Yes.
So
Dennis
he's
Quaid's.
Dennis
That-
Quaid
that's
and
his
Meg
son?
Meg
Ryan's
Ryan's son.
son.
Really?
And he looks a lot like Meg Ryan. Once I found that out, you're like, look at his face, very similar.
The
to
more
her.
I looked at him too, I could see Dennis in him as well. But
That's
yeah,
crazy.
he favors his mom, for sure.
So those are the boys that we're talking about right now, because there's other characters in the boys, but they don't appear in the first episode. We're only focused on the first episode.
Yeah.
So back to the seven, the actors who play the characters. Homelander, who I said is like Superman, is played by an actor named Anthony Starr. There's no H. I wasn't familiar with him. Apparently, he was in Banshee. If you watch the Banshee show on Showtime, I believe it was.
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
Never heard of it.
Never.
Heard of it.
The person who plays Queen Maeve, her name is Dominique McElligott.
She is Irish.
Yeah,
Hence the last name.
don't know her.
Nope. Not familiar with her either.
Erin Moriarty plays Annie January / Starlight.
The newcomer to the Seven.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with her. Apparently, she was in some Jessica Jones episodes, which
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, she was.
I haven't watched that show. Jesse T. Usher plays A-Train. Frank, you knew about him. What was he from?
He was in that Showtime show, the basketball show. LeBron James produced it. Cannot remember the name of the show that escapes me right now. But
Okay.
he was the main character in that
Oh, okay.
series. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with him. The Deep is played by Chase Crawford, who his brother-in-law is Tony Romo. So
Yeah.
also another Frank connection. Tony Romo, one of Frank's favorite quarterbacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much loved.
I
Yeah.
really want to switch seats now.
The Black Noir is played by Nathan Mitchell. You never see his face, so he could literally be any person.
Anybody.
'cause
Anybody.
He's under the mask the whole time. And then an actor named Alex Hassel plays Translucent, which again is the invisible character. Well, you do see invisible. You do see a lot of him in some scenes too.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That was disturbing.
And then to round out the cast for the first episode, you have a couple other key players. You have Elizabeth Shue, famous actress,
Yes.
probably the most famous person
On the
the
show.
cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She plays Madeline Stillwell, who is the
She's VP.
VP
in
of
Vought.
Vought International. So she's a bad guy. And Simon Pegg plays
Well, he's pretty famous too.
he plays
Yeah.
Huey Campbell's dad. And what was interesting about Simon Pegg is in the comics, Huey was kind of based on Simon Pegg.
Really?
So-
Really?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Huh.
And so they got Simon Pegg to play Huey's dad.
That's pretty cool.
funny.
So
He did such a good job with the accent.
Yeah.
Like, that American accent, you can't even tell.
Oh yeah.
So while the cast was, to me, mostly of people I never heard of, I thought it was a great job casting. What did y'all think about the cast? Just
Oh, it was okay for the fact that Homelander, for portraying this very American symbol, and he's actually from New Zealand.
Yeah.
That threw me for a loop of how well he can do an American accent and just how his character in general is. I mean, you think like, oh, he's like the most righteous and the leader of the seven, and then you start seeing things turn. Yeah.
Carl Urban also is from New Zealand.
Yeah, they're both
Yeah.
from New Zealand, and that's never knew that.
Yeah.
Casting thoughts? Anybody else?
No, I thought the casting was great. I mean, like you said, just I didn't know. I mean, outside of Carl Urban, Jesse T. Usher, and Elizabeth Shue, I wasn't really familiar with any of the characters. And like when you watch the show, they kind of make their own name as the show goes on.
They
Like
do.
everybody does a great job acting and playing these roles. And like even though these heroes are knockoffs of like other heroes from other comic books and stuff. The acting is so good that it makes you forget about those
Right.
the
Yeah.
knockoff value of these
Totally.
heroes. So,
Right.
They really bring those characters to life.
oh yeah,
For most of us, we didn't read the comic, and so we had no idea about these characters.
Right.
And then by episode 2 or 3, you're like, oh yeah, Homelander and the Deep,
Yeah.
like you're just in on it. Like
Yeah.
which I think that's amazing. They were able to do that in just a short time.
and what's even more impressive, I hate Homelander's outfit. It looks very corny, but his acting overcomes the outfit.
Oh
like,
my
Yeah.
God,
The
it
costume?
does.
No,
think it's awesome.
It's like a mix of like Captain America up top and then
Yeah.
like a knockoff Superman at the
Superman
bottom.
at the
Well,
bottom.
that's what it's
Just-
meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Totally.
just
Got the
looks.
flag, got the eagles on the shoulders.
Yeah, it just.
It's a bit much,
It's
though.
way too patriotic. Like he's over the top with the
It's a bit
patriotic
much.
look.
I thought
Yeah.
the costumes were like kind of perfect though. Like if
Yeah.
you look at like the pictures from the comic books, like they really nailed it.
Oh, the
Nice.
spot on.
I mean, the Deep is completely different, but
Who cares about him?
yeah.
No
But,
love for
uh,
Deep.
So George, what do you think about costumes, casting, everything?
The casting, I think it was great. I love when shows bring in unknown characters and unknown actors, and just they're able to bring it out and just do such a good job, especially in this show. I think another show that did that for me was Game of Thrones, because
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
a couple of people on that show, but a lot of those people I did not know who they were,
Right.
and look how big they turned out.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So
That's
it's,
very
I
true.
think it's that there's another show that's going to do that for these actors.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, in a few years, a bunch of these people are going to be in Marvel movies.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you think so?
for sure.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to see Starlight's character. That person's going to be
Hey.
the next Captain
Marvel?
Captain Marvel.
Who can we see her as?
Although I'm sorry, like Captain Marvel, the actress who plays Captain Marvel, she's so charismatic. I mean, literally, if you put a wig on Robert Downey Jr., he couldn't top her. Like, he couldn't touch her. So, because she's just the best.
Oh man.
So speaking of Starlight,
Oh.
I'm gonna take you off that train. Is it just me, or does she kind of remind me of like a blonde Selena Gomez? Like the more I look at her and how I hear her
How she
express
looks?
herself, like how she looks and just how she speaks, like
I don't know Selena Gomez at all. I know the name,
That's
but
understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I want to know if y'all think
I think-
she kind of looks like a Selena Gomez, but blonde hair.
Maybe, yeah. I guess.
I like Starlight a little bit better than Selena Gomez. I don't know.
Name a Selena Gomez song.
She dated Justin Bieber.
She dated Justin Bieber.
That's not a song.
I love that
Is that a song? Oh, it's,
Like
I love that
like a
song.
love song. It's called like a love song.
Okay.
I know like maybe 1 or 2 songs from her.
Justin name one.
I don't know anything. I mean, I know she was with Bieber. That's all I know.
and she dated The Weeknd.
The
So
Weeknd.
I know,
She
I know,
dated
I
The
know her
Weeknd.
boyfriends.
Oh, and she had a
Well, yeah,
kidney transplant with her best friend.
Oh, that's admirable. Okay, I do like Selena Gomez then. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
That's the Weeknd wrote that album
Yeah.
for about her.
No, I know that.
That's
but I
great.
didn't know it was about. I didn't know it
He
was
was gonna
about-
give her a kidney.
Wow. Admirable.
Back to the boys. Let's break it down.
Yeah, let's go to the first episode title was The Name of the Game. Also the title of the first comic too. I did some research. And
Okay.
So that's in fact a
Appropriate.
lot of the titles for so there's 8 episodes in this season of The Boys. Almost all the titles, I think I think all of them are titles of the comics.
Okay.
That's appropriate.
So they don't follow the comic completely, but they follow it in certain ways. So let's get started. So the episode opens and we have two young fans of I guess they're just teenagers. They're walking down the street. They're talking about a movie. They're talking about the Deep has a movie called Rising Tides. One of them is a
You're
fan of it.
very excited about that movie.
I want to see the trailer for the next one. I mean, D23 was a huge chance for Disney to do that and
Oh
drop
my
the ball.
God.
Of course, they don't have the rights to it, but
Yeah.
anyway, so they're talking about this movie about the superhero, which when we're being introduced to the show, we don't know that the superhero is not real, but he's very real. Superheroes are real, and we find out very soon after because there's a robbery situation or something like a hostage kind of deal. Queen Maeve and Homelander show up. They take care of these guys and basically kill these guys in front of these kids and then pose for selfies with them. And it's a very like you kind of get the sense of how the series is going to go right from the jump. Like
Yeah.
it's like this very violent, and then you have a lot of bad language, but then you also have like this like
I laughed super hard when he threw that dude. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and he
Yeah.
landed like
Oh, yeah.
20 feet the other way.
Yeah.
tosses him over his head, and then like he's talking, and you see the guy like fall through a car
In the background.
like
Yeah.
50 yards
That
away.
was
or something.
hilarious.
Yeah.
But starting out, it shows you how gangster these heroes are. Like they kill. Like
Yeah.
like even
Yeah, they
when
don't- yeah.
he didn't have to do that, but he did it because he wanted to. Compared to like a Captain America or Iron Man, they might disarm somebody, but he literally threw him like 2,000 feet in the air and
Yeah.
hit the top of a car.
That
Like
guy's real dead. He's
yeah,
real dead.
he's super dead. Yeah.
His hostage bank robbery dates are over. He's done.
Yeah.
So from there, they show like you see like the Homelander. He's talking to. He's being interviewed after saving the day, and you get such a great shot because it goes from the TV screen to you have a guy working like in a Radio Shack, and he's like he's wiping off the screen, and it's Huey Campbell. We're introduced to Huey Campbell, and he's working at this like Radio Shack kind of store, and his girlfriend comes in. They're about to leave, and they have a funny little discussion, which we can't really talk too much about.
Why, you don't want to lay cable?
Right.
Can't talk
I mean,
about laying cable or
George,
laying
if you
pipe?
want to talk about it,
Oh,
I'd
no.
say go for it.
No.
If
I was
anybody-
just saying.
Okay.
They'll
So
understand it.
They have a fun conversation. Robin doesn't totally. His girlfriend's name is Robin, played by the actress's name is Jess Salguera, which I wasn't familiar with her, but you said you saw her in something.
Yeah, she's in Working Moms. She
Okay.
plays the au pair in that show.
Okay.
Working Moms.
I tried watching that show.
It's
Well,
so funny. You don't
I
like
don't
it?
like it.
Oh my god.
You compared it to The League, dude.
It's funny. Yeah,
No,
it's being versus
it's not
the
that-
league.
no, it's not
Okay,
that
back to the
funny.
boys.
The League is funny.
The League is really funny.
I think next show we're gonna switch seats because y'all like have your own little conversations.
So back to the girlfriend. Her name is Robin, and she really seems like she's going to be a strong character, like a big part of the show. Like you're immediately invested in their relationship. They're walking down the street talking about, when are you going to move out of your dad's house? Talking to Huey, and then she's going to school so they can have a better future together. And he's like, she's trying to get him to ask for a raise at his job, and he's saying, oh, maybe tomorrow I'll do it or whatever. And then just out of nowhere,
Or train runs through her.
a train.
A train runs through.
As the conductor of this train, I have not done a great job handling it. So So Robin and Huey are engaged in this conversation, and it's witty banter. You know, it's kind of like we're very witty here too, and they're talking about, you know, she's making fun of Billy Joel posters or whatever, and he's a big Billy Joel fan.
As you should be.
Yeah,
As you should be.
and I guess she's like an Uptown Girl or something. I don't know. It's a Billy Joel song. So anyway, they're talking, and all of a sudden, you just see this like super slow-mo thing happens where her body like disintegrates in front of us, and
Into absolutely nothing.
you see her blood from her body like sprays Huey's face, and then you see this blur like off to the right, and it turns out it's a superhero. It's A-Train, and he's saying he
No,
can't control.
that's the truck.
It's a truck, yeah.
Choo choo.
And here at HCC, we offer truck. We have a trucking school.
We do.
So we're going to promote that next time. I bet back in the day we had a train school too, bro.
I'm sure we did.
Could have. I had a train set when I was a kid.
Did you like Thomas the Train?
No, I never. I'm a little.
Oh, I used to watch that.
Yeah, I
I
used
used
to
to watch that.
So anyway, A-Train, the superhero with super speed, he's like the Flash, comes flying in, not Flash, actually running in very fast. Runs through Robin, completely just obliterates her. She's dead.
Oh, man.
He looks at Huey. Huey's literally holding Robin's hands and part of her forearms in his hand. That's all that's left of her.
So, like, literally, like, where
Yeah.
the ends of my
Like
sleeves
this,
come.
yeah, like that.
Right.
So
Oh,
he's holding it
yeah,
like
germs,
that. and then-
mucus.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah, sorry.
he's holding her hands. A-Train, the superhero, looks at him and says, I can't stop, I'm sorry. And then he speeds off. And then Huey realizes he's got his girlfriend's hands in his hands, and he screams her name, and we're off. Like, that's the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This show, like, right away, shock value.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
hooked. I was like,
It was dark. Like,
Yeah.
it went dark real
Yeah.
quick.
The effects and everything when
Oh,
she.
yeah.
I mean, like, you see her molars. Her
Well, he
teeth.
said he
Yeah.
says that later on. That
Yeah,
he's like, I had
it's
her
like-
molars in my mouth or
It's
something
crazy.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That's not a bad way to go, cause she didn't feel anything. Like when she got murked, she was done. Like she was.
that's true.
Well, I guess she
within
caught
a
the train,
millisecond,
huh?
Yeah, she caught a train. Like she was done. Like it.
Oh man.
This,
So I love you, man.
how do we get so sidetracked with trains? Like,
I don't know.
'Cause of A-Train.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of jokes here that
There's
we can
tons
all
of
day.
There's a
jokes.
whole lot of jokes.
Tons of jokes.
Yeah.
Give me another one, Jay.
tons.
One more.
So, something worth noting also, whenever.
Putting him on the spot.
know.
Oh, I can give you some jokes, but I'm trying to stick to the script.
But are
here,
they
bud.
appropriate, though?
They're not appropriate.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to stick to the
Much
script.
like this show is
The
not
show's
appropriate.
not appropriate. Our show or the boys. So something worth noting in the Robin's death is they're walking on the sidewalk, and that's where A-Train runs through her. It's on the sidewalk. She's not in the street. Not
Well,
even
she was off the
close.
street.
She was one step,
One step
Yeah.
off the curb.
Curb, yeah.
One step
Whatever.
off the curb.
I say that because the next scene we see are the lawyers from Vought International, which again is the company that manages superheroes, and they're basically offering Huey a $45,000 kind of settlement. Like, hey, like you sign a non-disclosure agreement, we're cool. Like it was just an accident. You know, everything's okay. We'll give you this money, and obviously he doesn't want to sign it because that's his girlfriend died in front of him. $45,000 is not a tremendous amount of money anyway. Not that $45 million would be enough either.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
but-
will say that even though they weren't like legally married or anything like that, for a company to offer the significant other that amount of money is insane. I don't know what company in the real world would ever do that.
I
Or
mean-
someone
But
who's married.
it's meant. But the $45,000 is meant to not seem like a lot of money
Yeah.
Yeah.
in their world because this is a multi-billion
Yeah,
dollar
of
company.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the significance of that. Obviously,
You heard that?
I heard that too.
Oh, I hope
That-
you didn't hear
I
that.
know the mic heard that.
I'm sorry. I did a burp. And I thought I was doing it internally, and I think the mic. Sorry,
You didn't see it. He just like
Yeah.
ran through some people and like
caught a molar in my
caught
mouth.
a molar in his mouth.
Yeah.
Gross.
Sorry.
So Huey turns down the offer for the money, and
Good for you, Huey.
Yeah. And so then we meet our next person in the story. We meet Annie January, who is an aspiring superhero. She wants to join the Seven. That's what she's from Des Moines. She's like the Des Moines superhero. Every town kind of has their own superhero, which I thought was kind of interesting about the show.
How's there any crime? I don't understand. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
You talking like hundreds of superheroes in the nation. How's there any crime at this point?
You would think that after they heard that, there's a
there will be.
superhero here, like maybe we'll shut down our crime operation.
Yeah.
Maybe go to coding school or something. Learn a trade, learn a skill. HCC also has a coding school.
Who would be Houston's superhero?
Like Bun B, probably.
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
I don't know what his power would be. Like,
I was gonna say that.
The power flow. I don't know.
or flow.
Or that Iceman Paul Wall. Yeah.
He could freeze everyone.
Yeah.
Ah, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
With his grills.
With his grills.
Ooh.
Let me
mean,
see
He
your
just
grill.
he just opens his mouth and
Yeah.
just freezes.
The obvious answer is like JJ Watt or something. He would be like a superhero.
Yeah, but we're talking
He
about people
kind
who
of
are
is.
actually from Houston.
But
Like,
what would their power
Oh,
be?
Okay. I don't know. Is Bun B actually from here?
He's from Port Arthur.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
close enough.
Okay, close enough.
Close enough. Slim Thug.
Left side.
This is a side note, but I do love how, like, if you're like within, like, if you've ever been to the airport here in Houston, you're from Houston. You know, like, it's one of those kind of things. Like, that's from another job I worked at where they wanted to like tie in everything to local, and it's like Alex Rodriguez has a car dealership here. He's from Houston. No, he's not. He's from Miami.
It's in
You know,
Galveston
like-
or Clear Lake or something, right?
Again, not even in Houston. It's the area.
Sorry.
Just,
I'm gonna leave the
This-
show. I'm gonna leave y'all talk about this
you know
and
what?
deal with this.
I'm just gonna say this is a train wreck. A train wreck. And this didn't have to happen, you know. This didn't have to happen. But once we get in the military, no, that's a joke. For
but I'm bumped.
That's a joke for another show.
Yeah. So
back
Starlight.
back to Starlight. So she's like doing like a training montage. Like she's like punching the bricks on her garage.
I
which is
didn't get that.
I
Like,
know it's
why
like
would-
that's still your car garage. Like what are you
Is
doing?
your mom gonna patch it up later?
But no, but it looked like a built-in wall outside the parking garage. Outside the
it was
garage.
it was a
No,
part
an
of the
actual
garage.
garage wall?
No,
Yeah.
I think you're right, but it was like an
No, 'cause
extra brick.
It was an
wall.
extra brick wall. It
think
wasn't
so.
an actual
But
wall.
when she was punching it, it looked like her hand was going through the wall on the other side, and
might
her
have
mom's right there. Like her mom was standing right there, and she's just looking at it. Like seriously?
And her powers are not totally clear. Like she has some kind of like thing with her eyes, like some kind of electricity kind
she
of
can
thing.
blind
So like
people?
electrical currents run through her body.
Okay.
And so she's able to like channel that and project it out to, you know,
Right.
kill people or protect people. I don't know, but yeah, it also
Okay.
you can also see it illuminate in her eyes as well.
I'll tell you right now, like Deadpool said, I wouldn't dare pressure her to prom sex. She will go ham on you. Like I wouldn't dare pressure her. That's
Well, that happens maybe a little bit.
Literally like
show.
5 minutes
right.
later.
yeah.
So Starlight is auditioning to be a part of the Seven.
Right.
And she will eventually join the Seven, replacing one member who is retiring, or so
Right.
we're told, Lamplighter.
Which sounds like a knockoff of like Green Lantern. Something
Yeah,
like that.
something
Yeah.
like that. So there's like this big conference that Vought is hosting. This is the first glimpse we have of Madeline Stillwell, who's introducing the Deep on stage to give his thanks and we wish you a happy retirement to Lamplighter. And here we introduce Starlight, who will now be joining the Seven. And it's kind of like this Hollywood, red carpet ordeal.
It's like almost like a Comic-Con event or
Right,
D23 or
Starlight
something.
already has fans, and she's just kind of blown away by how much attention she's getting and whatnot. And that attention carries on into the Seven headquarters, where she is
Approached by the Deep.
approached by the Deep, and he basically kind of tries to say, like, hey, I'm second in command here, when Homelander's not around, and I want you to do something for me. Drops pants.
Well, it starts off because she talks about her heroes growing up.
Right.
And she's and
She
the
had,
Deep.
she had a
She had
poster
a
of him.
crush
Yeah,
on the Deep.
On the Deep. And
Yeah.
like the camera, and then like she's like her back is turned to the Deep, and the minute she turns around,
was-
he's bottomless. Like his pants are all the way off, and he's like,
He's just like, have at it.
yeah.
And she's like, not for that. Because what we will see with her character is that, she's a small town girl. She has very much religious beliefs, if you will. And that's not her way of life. But she gets blackmailed into having to do something for the Deep. And that's great first day as part of the Seven.
But it just shows you, not to cut you off, but it does show you how these superheroes have ulterior motives, and they don't care about exercising their power at any point in time. And like, it was a keeping it real moment, man. For the show in episode 1.
And then it just tells you like how much she really wanted to be a part of it. Like she never thought this would happen, because I guess it's a big deal to become just part of the Seven. So she, as much as she hated it, like she still wanted to be a part of it. But like I think as it goes on, she starts learning how they really are, and we start to learn that.
Absolutely.
Right. And keep in mind, this is someone who grew up, looking up to the Seven.
All these people.
Queen Maeve, Homelander, the Deep, and what have you. And now that she is amongst them, she thinks, oh, we're all going to fight crime, and we're going to do
Together, be
great
good
things. We're going to
people.
save people. And then the Deep's over here with, like what Frank said, with other ideas, and, typical of, hey, if you don't do this for me, I'm going to say this about you, and you're going to be out.
But it was a very ballsy move by the Deep, because
that was.
You see how powerful Starlight is, right? Yeah, but you
Go ahead.
no, but like
Keeping it G.
But like you see how powerful Starlight is, because when the Deep proposes that move,
she gets mad.
She gets really mad, and she like shuts down, like she destroys half the systems, the computers. And Deep looks scared. Like he looks really scared for a second, like, oh my God, what I get myself into? And then he kind of plays that role, like calling her bluff.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty crazy move by it, because like she could have went just crazy and just killed him right then and there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the show does a good job of showing you like how powerful Starlight is within the first
Couple
20
minutes,
minutes of the episode.
For sure.
Yeah. So from there, the next thing we see is we meet Billy Butcher for the first time. He comes into Huey's store, that he's the Radio Shack or whatever kind of store it is. He comes into the store and he approaches Huey and says, "Hey, I know what happened with your girlfriend, and I want you to, basically help me expose superhero corruption, because these soups are not what they're cracked up to be."
Yeah.
And
I do want to point out just really quick that I think it's during this scene, Huey's listening to Translucent on the late night show
Jimmy Fallon.
with Jimmy
background.
Jimmy Fallon in the background, and Translucent's explaining how he's able to.
Ben Light.
Right, and he's got, what is it, carbon or
Yeah, he has carbon skin.
Yeah.
So
he can-
virtually he's indestructible. I only bring this up because in one of our later episodes, this is going to be a key component of some entertainment.
I mean, it plays a key role in that towards the end of this episode, honestly.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it does. You're
Yeah, it
right. You're right.
So Butcher's talking to Huey. He basically says, "Hey, like, you don't know this, but I know this. I have experience with these superheroes, and they're bad people, and we need to bring them down, and we're the ones that have to do it." Butcher tells Huey that, I'm with FBI, so I need your help. And so to further show Huey like how corrupt the superheroes are, he takes Huey to this superhero club that they kind of, this like after hours kind of place. There's all kinds of debauchery going on
Super shady.
with these superheroes.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Debauchery.
But there is, and he shows, he basically shows
Huey.
like security footage of Robin's death and then he shows footage of A-Train like just joking about it in this club with his friends or whatever, and how he didn't,
How he had a molar in his mouth.
he didn't care that he ran through this person and killed her or whatever. He's laughing and joking about it. So Huey sees that, he gets enraged. He's like, okay, we're gonna bring these guys down.
Yeah.
So Butcher hatches a plan. His plan is, okay, Huey, we're going to call up Vought, get them back on the line, tell them that you'll accept a settlement, but only if you can go to their headquarters, which is like a very like Avengers Tower kind of place. Go to their headquarters and get an apology in person from A-Train, who killed Robin. And while you're there, I want you to basically slip a listening device under a table so that we can kind of keep track of these superheroes and keep a watchful eye on them. So Huey ends up going to which is called Seven Tower, which is like the Avengers Tower they have, and he goes through it. Of course, there's some mistakes that happen. At one point he has to go to the restroom. He goes to the restroom. He drops the little bug listening device. He's in the restroom. There's no one else in there, but then Translucent's in there. He's apparently hangs out in the restroom a lot.
Yes. And what's up with that restroom? Is it like a unisex restroom?
must
'Cause
be.
they're
It
all
Yes,
there.
it has to be.
It has to
It
be.
has to be.
Yeah.
Because we see Starlight.
Yeah,
is it-
they're
was
all there.
Starlight in
That's-
there, or was it?
Starlight was in there.
Starlight
Queen
was in
Maeve
there.
was in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's creepy.
Yeah.
That is very creepy.
So while he's in a stall, while Huey's in a stall trying to get the device to work or whatever he was doing with his phone, he drops it. It rolls out. I think Starlight's like washing her hands at the sink, and so she didn't notice it. But then he's waiting for her to leave. She leaves. He opens the door, comes out to find the little bug thing, and Translucent, of course, is invisible. He sees it all happen, and so now he's up. He knows that someone is onto them, and so that plays a huge part in the end of this episode, which is basically what we have next. We go to well, that's not next. There's a couple things that happen.
So was that because I'm reading the part where they were in the park? That happened before Huey went there, right?
No, it happens after.
It happens after.
Okay.
It happens
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, so after Huey goes, he gets him to sign the agreement. He plants the bug on the table. We have a scene where Huey's at a park and Starlight shows up, and she's not in her costume. She's just in civilian clothes, and they kind of share a conversation about how their lives are both in tough spots.
Yeah.
And then they kind of they kind of have like a friendly little talk, and they both like motivate each other to do what they're going to do. Little do they know that they're kind of like
They're about to encounter each other in more ways than one.
right, but like Huey's getting psyched up to take down these superheroes. She happens to be one of the superheroes that she doesn't know. She's had this horrible thing that happened with the Deep, and she's trying to convince herself that she still needs to be here because she wants to be a hero. And there's lots of good she can do with her powers, but then
Right.
obviously she's working with these terrible people. So it's kind of odd how like they're gonna meet at some point and very soon, but then they're both like motivating each other to, hey, keep going with what you're doing, but what they're doing is they're gonna end up,
Yeah.
getting each other's way, basically.
Yeah.
I didn't say that very eloquently, but that's what I was
It's
trying to say.
No, but
Me-
yeah.
So, anyway, after the park scene, so Translucent shows up to Huey's store, sneaks in the door, and
Well, actually, I'm gonna stop you right there because before all that, and I'm probably have this out of order, but there's a moment where we see Madeline Stillwell, who's VP of VOT, meeting with a mayor in Baltimore, and they're trying to negotiate this plan of having
yeah.
one of the superheroes come out to be the superhero of the city because Baltimore is high up in crime and what have you, and so they're negotiating price, which mayor feels okay, 200 or 400 million.
300 million. I
300
believe.
million.
And
Yeah.
he offered like 220.
Right, and they're haggling, and he kind of drops a bomb, saying, "I know about this thing called Compound V," and so that's our first introduction to a really big plot in this storyline, Compound V, and you can see it even then. Madeline was kind of taken aback, even though she tries to play it off like I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So he kind of has something. He, being the mayor, is dangling this over her head, and she's we'll have to talk about it. And oh, by the way, Mayor of Baltimore, here's your autograph from Homelander to give to your son. This is all really important. That's the only why I'm bringing it up now.
So but another thing that happens in that scene is you see someone in the background flying when they're talking about that.
Yeah.
And that's gonna.
Oh,
Yeah.
You see
I don't think I caught that.
Yeah,
Homelander's
Homelander's flying
flying.
across the scene. Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as they're talking about that, and it says
Foreshadow.
that.
Yeah.
Foreshadow.
Homelander flies by and he hears what's happening. In
Okay.
the
Okay.
office.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
good eye.
And
Good.
and then like, I'm not sure that like maybe later on in the episode you see Homelander staring at a picture of himself, right?
Right.
On the
Oh,
wall.
yeah, but he's
Right.
looking through.
But he's looking
he's
through.
looking through,
the walls.
yeah.
But you don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know at that
we
time.
don't know that.
Not
at
at that
time.
time, but
Yeah.
You just think this
because
guy's
that's when
incredible.
Starlight comes up and talks to him like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and I wasn't sure if you want to bring this up, Justin. There was a scene where, so the first, I guess the second time in the Seven Tower, it was the first superhero meeting where Homelander's leading the charge, and all the heroes are there from the Seven, and they're talking about, what are your saves of the week? What are your good deeds of the week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the conversation quickly turns from what did you do good as far as saving humanity and saving people
marketing is
to
down.
like, my marketing is down, my movie's not doing
Points,
well,
yeah.
my
Yeah.
marketing
My
points,
merch.
my merch is not selling like A-Train is selling.
Yeah.
Like it becomes, you encapsulates like what these superheroes' goals are. It's like it's not about doing what's right. It's about looking good while doing it.
Right.
Which I loved. I loved seeing that. It really shows you the theme of the show and these ulterior motives of these characters.
It's image and money. That's
Definitely.
really
Lot of
all
money.
that there is. A lot of money.
Definitely.
So, but going back to Translucent having discovered the
Yeah.
bug.
So he found out about what happened because he saw it happen at the Seven Tower. So he follows Huey back to his job, his store, and he sneaks in the door. It's late at night, and of course he's invisible, so no one sees him. And then he starts questioning Huey, starts beating him up. All of a sudden, you see a car come crashing through, hits Translucent. It's Butcher. He's there to save the day, or at least stop the soup. They have a battle. Huey helps. They basically are able to subdue Translucent. You want to talk about that, George?
How'd they do that?
So,
I love how you leave this part to me.
So I can do it.
Okay.
So
Say it in a G-rated way. I'm excited to hear
no,
this.
it's not bad.
It wasn't
No,
anything bad.
when we get
the
to
first time they subdued
the other
him.
part.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So Huey having.
I wasn't trying to set you up, seriously. I thought you're looking at me like you're like I'm ready to talk about this. I'm like, here you go. You're open. You're open. I'm just Tom Brady, okay? I'm just throwing the ball.
So Translucent is in Huey's store, which is, like you've said, like an electronics store. So it's a bunch of TVs, radio, what have you. And because Huey was listening to the interview with Jimmy Fallon about translucent skin and carbon, he knows that if he unplugs the cable out of one of the TVs, that he can virtually shock Translucent. He doesn't really need to see him. I mean, if you get him shocked, like you'll have him subdued, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And so with teamwork with Butcher, and Huey's able to achieve this, Butcher kicks.
But the only way you can see him is because Butcher spit blood on him.
Spit blood
and
on
you
him,
can
right. That was-
see the outline or whatever, and you
Right.
can see his legs.
Right. So that's a very good point. So Huey and Butcher are able to incapacitate Translucent. They
Put him in the trunk.
put him in the boot. I was going to say. Of
Like
course, you
what's-
want to say the trunk. It's the boot.
Okay.
In British terms, it's called the boot, the trunk. And elsewhere, we see a plane flying. Frank, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so as a callback earlier in the episode, the mayor is trying to bargain with Stillwell about, hey, your price is too high for the superhero. I want to take it down to about $220. So after the mayor kind of lightly threatens Stillwell about, hey, I know your dirty little secret about the Compound V, it skips into the scene of the airplane. The mayor, I guess the mayor's administration, the mayor's son, they're all on the plane, they're talking or whatever, and the mayor's son looks out into the window and sees Homelander flying,
Parallel.
45,000 feet in the air, parallel to the plane, and his son's like, "Hey, Dad, it's Homelander," and before you know it,
Are y'all
Homelander,
friends?
yeah, he's like, "Are you friends?" And before we know it, Homelander just goes Superman and gets his lasers and just
laser vision.
laser visions the whole plane and just and crashes it down
Wipes them out.
down to the water, and that's when I'm like, oh snap! Because leading up to the episode, to the end of the episode, you think Homelander's the
a good
good
guy.
one out of
Yeah.
all of them. Like
Right.
he's
'Cause
goodness, he's wholesome, and we
Even
find
Butcher
out.
says that.
Yeah.
He says
He's a saint.
He's like he's the only one of them that's like there's nothing.
He's a saint.
His pristine record or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vard does a great job of keeping him out of the limelight as far as any type of dirt. Like it's really run like a PR firm, and
No, it
when
is.
you see that, it was like one of the 5 oh my god moments of the episode. Like, oh my god, he just killed a whole mayor administration, a child, and everybody on that plane. So yeah, that was very, very shocking.
But he's
It
a
was.
company man. His loyalty to the company, people appreciate that.
Oh my.
They do.
They should.
For sure.
They should. No, and I remember messaging you guys in our group chat because again, I was the last one to jump on the bandwagon,
Or
and
the train.
All the trains.
or the train. Lord. But I remember messaging y'all and said, okay, I really was kind of rooting for Homelander. That like what you just said, he's the good one. He's righteous. He's the leader of these people. He's better than everybody. Nope, he is the worst one.
Off top.
I mean, and that was just episode 1.
Yeah.
Wait for the other 7 episodes.
That's crazy.
Good grief.
He's the most invested in the company. I think
Oh, yeah.
for a lot of reasons. But
Well, he's certainly been there the longest.
Yeah.
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 I'm the first superhero.
So what do you think about the plane going down, George?
It was crazy. I kind of saw it coming because when I saw that scene of him flying in the background, I was like, yeah, super hearing, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he heard that threat and something was gonna. I didn't think he would kill that family, like with the kid inside, but
Right.
yeah, that surprised me. I was like, whoa, this guy's brutal.
And mind you, Stillwell, who's the VP of Vault, she's not one to make noise. Like that's
Right.
so like we come to find out that Stillwell didn't plan that.
No,
that
she
was
didn't know
something
that.
totally
No.
She didn't
that
know
was
that.
totally off the cuff of
That,
Homelander.
that was all
Yeah,
Homelander.
so she wasn't happy about that because she wants to do everything she does is calculated and pretty much for the most part safe. She doesn't
Yeah.
want noise or any
Right.
attention brought to the company.
Right.
And Homelander he's
doing
very
his own
brash.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an intense show. I mean, even just with the first episode, the first 10 minutes of this episode, where you see someone completely obliterated to where their forearms and hands are the only thing that remains of them. It's an intense show.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a shocking moment in every episode. There's 8 episodes. There's
Every
probably 2 or 3
episode.
shocking moments in every episode.
Every episode.
And it's, I mean, the first episode started off really strong. The name of the game, and we're all in. Like,
We're all in.
Yeah.
Incredibly. And Justin, I think you were the one who said it. Even before this season premiered, they had already greenlighted the second season.
They renewed the second season before the first even debuted. So,
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Probably watched
So-
it. They're like, man, this show's too good.
So they've got the Amazon money behind them. So from what I've read, it sounds like it's probably going to be a 3 or 4 year show.
Sure.
Cool.
So sounds like they have enough material for that long. Maybe more. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
I mean, the show's very popular. Apparently, so Amazon doesn't release like Netflix. They don't release numbers like how many people view their.
Yeah.
Right.
They keep that for themselves. But they did say that like after 2 weeks, The Boys had like the most views of anything they've ever had on Amazon Prime of any series they've ever had.
Wow.
That's impressive because
So-
last year in the Emmys, well not Emmys. What's the TV one?
Emmys.
Is it Emmys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like Amazon had like 2 or 3 shows that won awards.
What's
Yeah.
their best show?
They
Or
had
the
that.
most
Handmaid's
popular
Tale, I
one.
want to say.
No, that's Hulu.
Is that Hulu? Okay.
The something marvelous.
Marvelous.
Okay.
Mrs. Maisel or
Mrs.
something. Maisel.
Something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
that did very
Yeah,
well.
I won
at
an
the
award
Emmys.
too. I want to say. Yeah.
They have that Jack Ryan series with John.
They do have
Krasinski.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
One show that I actually like. It kind of goes wishy-washy. Is The Man in the High Castle. That was a really good show.
I watched that show. I watched the first season.
It got weird
Then
at
it
the
got
end
weird.
of
I don't
first
know.
season,
Yeah.
but the second season actually did better. I think they kind of came out of that weird ending, and
Yeah.
it's still weird, but it's a good show. I really enjoyed that show.
Well, this is the best show.
Oh, I agree.
For sure.
I agree.
That they have.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it's on Amazon. I don't have Netflix, but I do have Amazon. I have a Fire Stick, and so they've been advertising it for months. So I knew about it. I was ready for it.
Yeah.
But the trailer I saw, like it seemed like a parody of superheroes, but it didn't seem that interesting. I was almost like, am I really going to care enough about like? Do I
Yeah.
want like? I've got all this Marvel stuff going on. We're all in on Marvel.
Yeah.
Do I really want to learn these new characters and their storylines? and,
The
like,
answer is yes.
And it's like, yes, like right off the bat, it's like, this is really good. And then like, it's only 8 episodes and you're like, that's it? Like, I
Yeah.
want more. I want like 10 or 12 at least.
Yeah.
And
See, that's what I don't like about series on these streaming services that just drop everything at once.
Oh, no, I
because
love that.
because like with Game of Thrones, and we were all in for Game of Thrones up until this last season, you had something to look forward to every
Yeah.
single week. Whereas this is like you can binge watch it in a day if you absolutely wanted to, or 2 days, or whatever. I think it took me like, what, 4?
I
guess-
think that, go ahead.
No, I guess that format's way better for us.
Yeah, I'm a terrible
to,
binge
to do
watcher.
it for this show. Like if it was a weekly thing.
Yeah.
But since we all binged everything, it kind of makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the episodic thing is better for us. It's something I've been used to. So it's like, and also I think it's better for the show too, because I think it gives a show a longer shelf life.
Yeah.
Because like, like a show like Stranger Things, which is hugely popular,
Yeah.
I think it'd be way more popular if it was like weekly. Because Stranger Things comes out like on a Friday or Saturday. And by
Almost done
by the weekend or next week, the people who are in on it have watched it
And never watched
they're
it
done.
again.
Yeah.
Like,
But then at the same time, to this show's advantage because it did just that, and then everyone else is just buzzing about it, and then other people start like me, watching it, what have you. But I mean, I don't know.
But it's such a strong, like the first episode's so strong. You would
was
wait
strong
till
start.
another. You go, you know what? This is worth waiting for another week.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Like I'd love to watch the next episode right now, but if it's next Sunday or whatever, that's fine. I can do that.
I agree.
Because
I would have done that.
It would
I would've
make
done
you,
it.
yeah. And for selfish reasons, we could have done like prediction shows and stuff like that, but
You know, sure.
Yep.
didn't work out that way.
Really didn't.
But no, so next week we'll be back. We're going to do episode 2, which is entitled Cherry. And we're going to meet more of the characters, more of the boys. We'll meet some new characters in that episode. I know some of them are your favorite.
Yeah.
Your favorites
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
up in that one. And
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It gets crazier.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna talk about a lot of this stuff.
we have to be very careful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just stay on the track and just.
Gosh.
Here we go.
Here where you're like, It's like,
These are not written, by the way.
No, I have
There no jokes on
There's
here
no
this
jokes.
time.
No jokes.
No jokes. Look at this.
I
All off the
don't-
dome.
I don't write jokes. I'm just funny.
Yeah.
But there's a difference. Like
Survivor's Remorse. That's the name of that show. There we go.
Right, there we go.
Survivor's Remorse. That's the show. That was a star show that
Call
A-Train
back
was
to
on.
yeah, that Mr. Usher was on.
And
Yeah,
we didn't
A-Train.
write that down either. as you
Yeah, it
can
just
tell.
came. Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
I would love Nathan if you could just put like a little light bulb
Like a little light
above
bulb
his
after.
head, just ping. Exactly.
So we're back here in the studio this week, and we hope you enjoy watching us on YouTube. But the last 2 weeks we've been doing audio podcasts, and thanks to Anchor, we are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify.
Absolutely.
We're also on a couple other places where you can
Everywhere.
listen to podcasts. Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yep, sure
So
are.
please, if you really want to help us out, download the episodes on these different podcast platforms, subscribe to them, rate us, review us, leave comments. We would very much appreciate it. Also, if you want to join our social media community, I'll let Brittany talk about that a little bit.
My plug.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you search for The Watchers in the Basement, you'll be able to find our profile pages. Also, if you want to share any photos, memes, we're a big fan of memes. Like, they're great, they're awesome. Or just your thoughts in general about what we're watching, what our episode is about, and just, I don't know, just say hello. Use hashtag WatchersBasement. And again, keep following us on everything on our different podcast platforms. Again, Anchor, You the MVP. I'm really excited about being on Spotify because I hook up my phone when I'm driving. I listen to Spotify all the time, whether it's music or podcasts, and I just like the fact that we get to hear our own voices on there now. It's awesome.
And Apple's cool too. Like
Yeah,
it's
Apple's
cool.
cool.
It's cool seeing the name of our show on that.
Yeah, I prefer
platform, so-
the Apple podcast compared to Spotify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So please download,
Anchor.
please rate and review. We really appreciate it.
Keep sharing.
Yeah, keep sharing,
Keep sharing
our
our
stuff.
stuff. We're definitely excited about trying to put more content out there. And if there's anything that you all want us to review and share our thoughts on, let us know. Again, use hashtag WatchersBasement.
And watch The Boys, because that's what we're doing right now.
Yes.
We-
If you haven't watched it, just catch up. Everyone catch up in the show. That way
Yeah.
we can all talk about it.
Yeah.
For the next few weeks, we could be the boys in the basement. I mean,
The
minus-
boys in the basement.
And you could be the.
I will be the female of the species.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
That is a reference that you will get in a few weeks.
Yes.
Yep.
We introduce new characters.
Sure
So,
is. Hopefully George will be better too.
yeah.
Hopefully.
I feel bad
Yeah.
for you, like suffering through all this.
The allergies, yeah.
I'm surprised. I only sneezed like once, right? That's good.
Actual
only once.
sneeze.
A lot of nose blowing though.
Lot of
Probably
nose
too
blowing.
much.
Yeah,
but that's
I gotta
okay.
go find some sanitizer to, cleanse myself.
So quickly before we go here, who's your favorite character on the show, on The Boys?
Oh, easily A-Train.
A-Train.
Easily.
Easily.
Oh, easily. Homelander's a close second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking superheroes?
Just any character.
Any
Okay.
character?
Yeah.
Okay.
Butcher.
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 I like Butcher too, but just to be a little bit different, I'll say Homelander.
Of course you would.
Homelander, like, I mean, he's like Superman, except for he's like totally evil, like,
Yeah.
and his laser vision is so deadly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you
It's
see it a lot in
scary.
the
Yeah, yeah.
show.
It's scary.
If y'all haven't watched the show, y'all are going to find out just how evil Homelander is.
He's a bad guy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So watch The Boys, watch our show, and listen to us on our podcast, download and subscribe and all that good stuff. Follow us on
Yep.
social media. Got all the plugs in there.
Yep.
Nice little wrap up.
Yep.
So thank you for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Don't besmirch the name of Billy Joel.
I'm gonna lay some cable now.